The doorbell pierced the silence at 3 in the morning, followed by 3 sharp knocks that echoed through my house like gunshots. I froze at my desk, spreadsheets forgotten, my hand hovering over the calculator. Nobody rings at this hour unless something's terribly wrong. I'm Ariana, and until tonight, I thought I had everything figured out. The knocking came again, more insistent. My bare feet made no sound on the hardwood as I crept toward the door, phone clutched in my hand, 911 already typed but not sent. Through the peephole, I saw nothing but empty porch, the motion lights casting harsh shadows across my carefully tended flower beds. "Hello?" I called out, my voice steadier than I felt. Silence answered. I should have left it alone. Should have called the police or woken Michael. But something pulled me toward that door, call it instinct, call it fate, call it the universe's sick sense of humor. The bundle on my welcome mat was so small I almost missed it. A soft whimper drifted up, and my heart stopped. I yanked the door open, and there it was, a newborn, wrapped in a pale blue blanket, red-faced and squirming. Oh my God. The words escaped in a whisper as I scooped up the infant. Warm. Alive. Real. A folded paper fluttered to the ground, my name written in hurried strokes across the front. My hands shook as I unfolded it, cradling the baby against my chest. Dear Ariana, meet your husband's son, Evan. Born yesterday. I thought you should know what Michael's been up to while working late. Take care of him or don't, I'm done playing happy family with a coward who won't leave his wife. Olivia. The words blurred as I read them again and again, willing them to change, to make sense, to be anything but what they were. The baby, Evan, began to cry, a thin, reedy sound that cut through my shock like a knife. Mommy. Samantha's voice drifted down from upstairs. I heard noises. Go back to bed, sweetie, I called back, amazed at how normal I sounded. Everything's fine. Everything was not fine. Everything was so far from fine it had crossed into some bizarre parallel universe where my husband of 8 years had another family. Where some woman named Olivia had just dropped her newborn on my doorstep like an unwanted package. I carried Evan to the kitchen, moving on autopilot. Formula. We'd need formula. And diapers. And Michael's car pulled into the driveway, headlights sweeping across the windows. Of course. Of course he'd come home now, after his late-night assignment. I stood there, holding his secret in my arms, watching him through the window as he checked his phone, fixed his hair in the reflection. 8 years of marriage, and I'd never seen him so clearly. He used his key, whistling some tune I didn't recognize. The sound died when he saw me. You're still up. He smiled, that charming smile that had won me over all those years ago. Then his eyes landed on the bundle in my arms, and the color drained from his face. What's that? That? I looked down at Evan, who had fallen asleep, innocent and oblivious. This is your son. Olivia says hello, by the way. The silence that followed was absolute. In it, I could hear the sound of my marriage cracking, of trust shattering, of 8 years of memories being rewritten with ugly truth. Ari, I can explain. Can you? I met his eyes, surprised by how calm I felt. Can you explain why your mistress just abandoned your newborn son on our doorstep? Can you explain why you've been lying to me, to our daughter, to everyone? He took a step forward. I took a step back. Don't. My voice was ice. Don't you dare come near us. Upstairs, Samantha's door creaked open again. Michael's eyes darted toward the sound, panic replacing the guilt on his face. We can't do this now, he whispered urgently. Let me explain everything tomorrow, when Sam's at school. I looked at him, really looked at him, and wondered how I'd ever love someone so completely while knowing them so little. You're right, I said softly. We can't do this now. But tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to do this in front of everyone. I spent the night cataloging lies. Each receipt Michael left in his coat pockets, every late meeting marked in his calendar. All those mysterious phone calls he'd step outside to take. The evidence of his betrayal stretched back months, maybe years. I'd been too busy running my business, raising our daughter, being the perfect wife, to notice the obvious. David arrived just after dawn, legal pad in hand. My brother, always the methodical one, always ready to fight my battles. He found me at the kitchen table, surrounded by paper trails and a sleeping Evan in the borrowed bassinet from our neighbor. Jesus, Ari. When's the last time you slept? Sleep is for people whose husbands don't have secret families. I pushed Michael's credit card statements toward him. Look at these charges. Jewelry stores, high-end restaurants I've never been to, hotel rooms. David picked up a receipt, his jaw tightening. The bastard wasn't even trying to hide it. Why would he? I trusted him completely. The laugh that escaped me sounded foreign, bitter. I was the perfect mark. Where is he now? Upstairs, pretending to sleep. He's too much of a coward to face me. I touched Evan's tiny hand, his fingers curling reflexively around mine. Did you know he tried to convince me the baby wasn't his? Said Olivia must be lying, must be trying to extort money. And you believe otherwise? Look at him, David. He has Michael's eyes, his chin. Even his ears. My voice cracked. He looks more like Michael than Samantha does. Heavy footsteps on the stairs made us both turn. Michael appeared in the doorway, dressed for work like it was any other morning. The sight of him in his pressed shirt and perfect tie made my stomach turn. David. Michael's voice was carefully neutral. This is a private matter between my wife and me. Private? I stood up slowly. Like your private dinners with Olivia. Your private hotel rooms. Your private son. Ari, please. You're not thinking clearly. Don't. David stepped between us. Don't you dare try to gaslight my sister. Michael's facade cracked slightly. I made a mistake. A horrible mistake. But we can work through this. For Samantha's sake. Don't you dare use our daughter as a shield. The words came out sharp enough to draw blood. While you were playing house with your mistress, I found every receipt, every message, every lie. Would you like to explain the transfers from our joint account to an offshore bank? Or should I have David do some digging into that too? The color drained from Michael's face. What transfers? The ones you thought I wouldn't notice because I trusted you to handle the finances. I slid another paper across the table. $200,000, Michael. Where is it? Mommy. Samantha's small voice made us all freeze. She stood on the stairs in her unicorn pajamas, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Why is everyone yelling? Michael moved toward her. Everything's fine, princess. Don't. My voice was steel. Don't you dare lie to her too. I turned to my daughter, softening my tone. Sweetie, go pack your favorite toys. We're going to stay at Uncle David's for a while. But what about school? I'll drive you, just like always. I managed a smile. Go on now. When she disappeared upstairs, Michael grabbed my arm. You can't take my daughter. David's hand clamped down on Michael's wrist. Remove your hand, or I'll remove it for you. The baby started crying, a sharp wail that cut through the tension. I pulled away from Michael to lift Evan, who quieted immediately in my arms. Look at that, I said softly. He already knows who he can trust. I met Michael's eyes. You have until noon to pack your things and leave. After that, I'm calling the police and reporting the financial fraud. Your choice. You wouldn't. The woman you married wouldn't. But I'm not her anymore. I turned to David. Can you help Samantha pack while I get Evan ready? Ari, please, Michael's voice cracked. I'll do anything. I looked at him one last time, this stranger wearing my husband's face. You already did everything. That's the problem. The sound of his desperate pleas followed me up the stairs, but for the first time since last night, I felt something other than pain. Something that felt dangerously like purpose. Finding Olivia wasn't difficult. A quick search through Michael's phone, left behind in his hasty departure, led me to the Grand Hotel downtown. Of course he'd keep her somewhere expensive, somewhere that matched his inflated sense of importance. I adjusted my blazer, checking my reflection in the elevator's polished doors. Power suit, perfect makeup, wedding ring conspicuously absent. The woman staring back at me looked dangerous. Good. Room 742. I knocked once, sharp and professional. Room service, I called out, my voice honey-sweet. The door opened, and there she was, younger than I'd imagined, beautiful in that calculated way that takes effort. Recognition flickered across her face, followed by something like amusement. Well, Olivia said, leaning against the doorframe. I wondered when you'd show up. May I come in? Unless you'd prefer to discuss Michael's embezzlement in the hallway. That wiped the smile off her face. She stepped aside, and I entered what had to be a $500 a night suite. My money. Our money. Where's my son? She tried to sound demanding, but fear edged her words. Safe. Which is more than I can say for his father's future. I settled into an armchair, crossing my legs. Tell me, how long did it take you to realize Michael wasn't the golden ticket you thought he was? I don't know what you're talking about. No. I pulled out my phone, started reading. Olivia Brooks, formerly Olivia Martinez. 2 previous relationships with married executives. Both ended in generous settlements after threatened lawsuits. You're getting predictable. She sank onto the couch, mask cracking. You've been investigating me. Did you really think I wouldn't? The moment you dropped Evan on my doorstep, you made this my business. I leaned forward. But here's what fascinates me, you miscalculated this time. Michael isn't wealthy. I am. He said he had money. That he was going to leave you. The money he showed you. That was stolen from my company. Which means those offshore accounts you thought would be your safety net. They're about to be frozen. Color drained from her face. You're lying. Am I? Check your phone. I'm sure Michael's already trying to reach you, warning you that everything's falling apart. I watched her grab her phone. Saw her face change as she read the messages. He's not coming to save you, Olivia. He's running. This isn't, I never meant. She looked up, suddenly younger, more vulnerable. I just wanted security. For me and Evan. By destroying another woman's family. By abandoning your newborn. My voice stayed level, but my hands shook. You want to know what real security looks like? It's building something yourself, not stealing it from others. What are you going to do? I stood, smoothing my skirt. Nothing. I'm going to walk out that door and let karma do its job. The police are already investigating the embezzlement. Michael's journalist credentials are being reviewed. Your previous activities are becoming public knowledge. You bitch. She launched to her feet. You think you're so perfect. Michael told me everything about you. How cold you are, how focused on your precious business. And yet here I am, raising your son while you hide in a hotel room. I moved to the door, then paused. Oh, and Olivia. The room's been charged to your personal card. Seems Michael cancelled his before he fled. Her scream of rage followed me into the hallway. I made it to my car before the trembling overtook me, before the tears started falling. My phone buzzed, a message from David. Police just picked up Michael at the airport. He had a ticket to the Cayman Islands. I started laughing, the sound bordering on hysterical. Of course he'd run. Of course he'd leave Olivia holding the bag, just like he'd left me holding his son. Another message came through, this one from an unknown number. You have no idea what you've started. Oh. I saved the number, smiling through my tears. Let her threaten. Let her scheme. She had no idea what I was capable of, what lengths I would go to protect what was mine. And now, somehow, that included her abandoned son. Game on, I whispered, starting the car. In the rearview mirror, I saw Olivia watching from her window, 7 stories up, looking small and desperate and dangerous. Just like Michael, she'd learn. Nobody hurts my family without consequences. Lucas agreed to meet me at a coffee shop across town, far from his usual haunts with Michael. He arrived late, shadows under his eyes, fidgeting with his wedding ring, a nervous tell I remembered from countless dinner parties. You look terrible, I said, pushing a coffee toward him. Yeah, well, finding out your best friend's a fraud will do that. He pulled out a USB drive, placed it between us like a loaded gun. What I found. Ari, it's worse than embezzlement. My fingers curled around my cup. Tell me. Michael's been writing hit pieces on your competitors. Taking bribes to tank their reputations while promoting businesses that pay him under the table. Lucas wouldn't meet my eyes. The money trail leads back to your company's accounts. He's been using your success to make his schemes look legitimate. The coffee turned bitter in my mouth. How long have you known? I suspected something was off 6 months ago. The lifestyle changes, the stories that didn't add up. He finally looked at me. I should have told you sooner. Yes, you should have. I kept my voice level, even as rage burned through my veins. What changed your mind? Olivia came to see me yesterday. Wanted me to help her blackmail Michael. He laughed, hollow and tired. Said she had evidence that could destroy both of you. Your company, your reputation, everything you've built. My phone buzzed. A text from David, police want to question you about company finances. Call me ASAP. Of course. Michael had made sure his tracks led back to me. The articles, I said slowly. They're under my company's letterhead, aren't they? Lucas nodded. You're listed as the primary source. Michael made it look like you were orchestrating everything. Perfect. I stood up, gathering my coat. Thank you, Lucas. You've been very helpful. That's it. Ari, you could go to prison. No, I cut him off. I won't. Because you're going to help me prove who really wrote those articles. How? I smiled, and something in my expression made him lean back. Because you're going to wear a wire and meet with Michael. He trusts you. He'll confess. He's my best friend. Was your best friend. I leaned forward, dropping my voice. Choose carefully, Lucas. Right now, you're either a witness or an accomplice. Which would you prefer? His hand shook as he reached for his coffee. When? Today. He's desperate, running out of options. He'll talk. I stood up. Oh, and Lucas. If you warn him, remember, I have copies of all your communications about those articles. Every email, every text. You're not who I thought you were. No. I'm who Michael and Olivia made me. I gathered my things, pausing beside him. 3 o'clock. David will meet you with the wire. Don't be late. Outside, I checked my phone again. 3 missed calls from my mother, a text from Samantha's teacher about her being withdrawn at school, and an email from my company's board requesting an emergency meeting. My perfectly constructed life was unraveling, threads pulling loose with every revelation. But beneath the chaos, a strange calm had settled over me. Michael hadn't just betrayed our marriage, he'd tried to destroy everything I'd built, everything I was. Another text came through, this one from Olivia, last chance to negotiate. Tomorrow's headlines will be interesting. I saved the message with the others, evidence mounting like ammunition. Let them think they had me cornered. Let them believe I was desperate. They had no idea what I was capable of. My phone rang again, David this time. The police are at your office, he said without preamble. They're seizing computers. Good, I replied, starting my car. Let them find everything Michael left behind. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Ari. Are you sure about this? I thought about Michael's schemes, Olivia's threats, Lucas's belated conscience. About Samantha's confusion and Evan's innocence. About 8 years of love twisted into a weapon against me. Yes, I said, pulling into traffic. It's time everyone learned what happens when you try to bury someone who knows how to grow. The recording of Michael's confession played through my office speakers, his voice filling the room like poison. Lucas had done his job well, too well. Every damning word, every scheme, every betrayal laid bare in high-definition audio. I had to protect us, Michael was saying to Lucas. Ariana was too focused on her precious company to see what was happening. The competitors were closing in. I did what I had to do. I stopped the playback, my hand steady as I poured another drink. David sat across from me, legal pad covered in notes, while Lucas paced by the window. It's enough to clear you, David said. But it'll destroy the company anyway. I finished my drink. The scandal alone will tank our stock. I'm sorry, Ari. Lucas stopped pacing. If I'd known sooner. The door burst open. Michael stood there, wild-eyed, clutching his phone. You set me up. Hello, darling. I didn't move from my desk. Heard from Olivia lately. You bitch. He advanced into the room. You turned Lucas against me. Convinced him to tell the truth. I stood slowly. That must be an alien concept for you. Everything I did was for us. To protect what we built. What I built. My voice cut through his excuses like a blade. My company. My reputation. My life that you tried to destroy. He laughed, a harsh sound. Your life. What about our daughter? What about Evan? Don't you dare bring them into this. Why not? You're using my son as a weapon against me. Keeping him from his father. His father. The glass shattered in my hand, but I barely felt it. You abandoned him on my doorstep like garbage. You left him with a stranger because you were too much of a coward to face what you'd done. Blood dripped from my palm onto the carpet. David moved toward me, but I waved him off. Olivia's going public, Michael said. Tomorrow morning, every news outlet in the city will know how you orchestrated everything. The bribes, the hit pieces, all of it. Let her. I opened my desk drawer, pulled out a thick file. But first, she might want to see these. His face paled as I spread photos across the desk. Olivia with other married men, bank statements showing her previous settlements, medical records revealing her calculated pregnancies. You weren't special, Michael. You were just next in line. I met his eyes. Did you really think I wouldn't investigate? That I wouldn't find every skeleton in her closet? You don't understand. She'll destroy everything. No, you don't understand. I moved around the desk. I already destroyed everything. I leaked the story an hour ago. Every detail, every scheme, every lie, it's all public now. Your career is over. Your reputation is finished. And Olivia? I smiled. The police are probably arriving at her hotel right now. He lunged for me. David and Lucas grabbed him, but not before he knocked me back against the desk. Pain shot through my cut hand as I caught myself. You've ruined everything, he shouted, struggling against their grip. No, Michael. You did that yourself. I straightened, ignoring the blood now staining my white blouse. The difference is, I'm going to rebuild. You? You're going to watch everything you tried to steal crumble around you. What about Samantha? What will she think when she learns what you've done? The question hit harder than his physical attack. She'll learn that her mother fought back. That sometimes justice looks like revenge. Security's on their way up, David said, still restraining Michael. I looked at my husband, this stranger wearing 8 years of lies like a second skin, and felt something final settle in my chest. Goodbye, Michael. I gathered the files, my voice steady. Give Olivia my regards when you see her in court. His threats followed me out of the office, but they held no power anymore. In my pocket, my phone buzzed with news alerts about the breaking scandal. By morning, everyone would know the truth. I touched the wedding ring I still wore, then slowly slid it off. Sometimes revenge doesn't roar. Sometimes it whispers, patient and precise, until everything falls perfectly into place. The news vans surrounded my house like vultures, their satellite dishes pointed at my windows like accusing fingers. Inside, Samantha clutched Evan to her chest, both children sleeping through the chaos while my mother paced the living room. They're saying horrible things about you on TV, Nancy said, muting another breaking news segment about my company's scandal. That woman, Olivia, she's giving interviews, claiming you threatened her, that you stole her baby. My phone buzzed. Another message from the board, effective immediately, you are suspended pending investigation. Let her talk. I watched another camera crew set up on my lawn. The truth will come out. The truth. Nancy stopped pacing. Ariana, they're freezing your accounts. The police want to question you about kidnapping. Michael's lawyer is filing for emergency custody of both children. My hands shook as I poured another coffee I wouldn't drink. Through the window, I could see reporters interviewing my neighbors, probably asking about the mysterious baby that appeared on my doorstep. About Michael's affair, about my supposed manipulation of the media. David burst through the door, suit disheveled. We have a problem. Olivia's pressing charges. She claims you orchestrated everything, the affairs, the financial fraud, even abandoning Evan, to frame Michael and destroy his career. That's ridiculous. It's working. He dropped a stack of papers on the coffee table. She has emails, texts, voice recordings, all doctored, but convincing. She's painting you as an obsessive wife who couldn't handle Michael's success, who manufactured evidence to destroy him. My coffee cup slipped, shattering on the floor. Samantha stirred at the noise, and Evan began to cry. Give him to me, I whispered, taking the baby. He quieted immediately, his tiny hand wrapping around my finger. How could anyone believe I'd orchestrate his abandonment? Mommy? Samantha's voice was small. Are the bad people going to take Evan away? I held both children closer, breathing in their innocent scent. No, sweetheart. No one's taking either of you anywhere. My phone rang, Lucas. Turn on channel 7. Now. The screen flickered to life, showing Michael and Olivia together at a press conference. She looked perfectly distressed, tears streaming down her face as she described how I'd threatened her, forced her to give up her baby. Manipulated evidence to frame them both. "I just want my son back," she sobbed into the microphones. I was scared. Ariana said she'd destroy me if I didn't do what she wanted. Michael played his part perfectly, the concerned father protecting his mistress, his voice thick with rehearsed emotion. "We just want what's best for both children. Ariana needs help. Her obsession with destroying me has gone too far." "Turn it off," I whispered, but nobody moved. "And the offshore accounts?" a reporter asked. "The fraudulent articles. All traced back to Ariana's IP address," Michael said smoothly. "She used my journalism contacts, my reputation, to orchestrate everything. I was blind to it, trying to protect her, until it was too late." The room spun. Everything I'd gathered, every piece of evidence, every careful plan, they'd turned it all against me. Made me the villain in my own story. "We need to get you out of here," David said urgently. "They'll be serving the arrest warrant soon. We can fight this, but not if you're in jail." "No." I stood, still holding both children. "I'm not running. I'm not giving them that satisfaction. Ariana. They want to paint me as unstable. Fine. Let them try. But I'm not leaving my children. I'm not hiding from their lies." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Through the window, I could see police cars approaching, reporters running toward them with cameras raised. "Mom," I said quietly, "take the children upstairs. They don't need to see this." As Nancy led them away, Samantha looked back at me with those wise eyes. "Are you going to fight the bad people, Mommy?" "Yes, baby." I squared my shoulders as red and blue lights flooded the room. "I'm going to fight them all." The pounding on the door began, accompanied by shouts of "Police! Open up!" I looked at David, at my mother, at the life I'd built crumbling around me. "Sometimes," I said softly, "you have to lose everything to win anything at all." The courtroom fell silent as Olivia took the stand, her designer outfit and perfectly timed tears a masterclass in manipulation. I sat between David and Lucas, watching her perform for the judge, my hands steady despite everything at stake. "Miss Brooks," David approached, his voice deceptively gentle. "Could you explain these documents?" The papers appeared on the overhead screen: bank statements, hotel receipts, text messages. Olivia's practiced composure flickered. "Those are private. They show a pattern, don't they? 6 different married men over 3 years. 6 relationships that ended in threatened lawsuits and generous settlements." Michael shifted uncomfortably in his seat as David continued. "And this medical record from 3 months ago, it indicates you weren't pregnant when you claimed to be carrying Mr. Reed's child." The courtroom erupted in whispers. Olivia's lawyer jumped up with objections, but I barely heard him. I was watching her face, seeing the mask crack. "That's not, those records are fake. Like the baby you claimed was yours." David's voice hardened. "The DNA test results came back this morning, Miss Brooks. Evan isn't your child. He isn't Michael's either." The gallery exploded. Michael stood up, face ashen. "What are you talking about?" "Evan belongs to Thomas Harrison," David continued, displaying another document. "A wealthy businessman you targeted last year. The same man who disappeared mysteriously after refusing to pay your blackmail demands." Olivia's composure shattered. "You don't understand, I needed to destroy my family." I stood, unable to stay silent. To use an innocent child as a weapon. "Order." The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. "You think you've won." Olivia's mask fell completely, revealing something ugly beneath. "Michael still chose me. He still betrayed you, abandoned his daughter. No, Michael interrupted, his voice breaking. You said, you promised. What? She whirled on him. That I loved you. That we'd be together. You were a means to an end, Michael. Just like all the others. The truth exploded between them like shrapnel, wounding everyone in its path. Michael staggered back, 8 years of lies finally catching up to him. Your Honor, David's voice cut through the chaos, we have evidence that Miss Brooks orchestrated the financial fraud at Mitchell Enterprises. Using Mr. Reed's position to manipulate company records. The offshore accounts trace back to her previous aliases. The screen filled with transaction records, each one damning. I watched Olivia realize she'd been outplayed, that every move she'd made had been anticipated, documented, turned against her. You're just like me, she hissed at me. Using people, manipulating events. No. I met her eyes. I protected my family. You destroyed yours. The doors burst open. 2 police officers entered, followed by a man I recognized from the case files, Thomas Harrison, very much alive and ready to testify. Olivia lunged for her purse. Lucas moved faster, knocking it away. Photos spilled across the floor, dozens of them, showing her with different men, different lives, different lies. Miss Brooks, the judge's voice was iron, you are hereby remanded into custody pending charges of fraud, extortion, and kidnapping. As the officers approached, she turned to Michael one last time. Tell them. Tell them you knew about everything, that you helped me. But Michael was already talking to the district attorney, making a deal, saving himself like always. I watched them lead her away, this woman who'd tried to steal my life. She'd wanted revenge against the world that had denied her what she thought she deserved. Instead, she'd gotten justice, the real kind, the kind that comes from truth. Mom? Samantha's voice came from behind me. I turned to find her with my mother, Evan sleeping peacefully in Nancy's arms. It's over, baby. I pulled her close, breathing in her innocent scent. The bad people can't hurt us anymore. What about Daddy? I watched Michael being led away by his lawyer, his shoulders bowed under the weight of his choices. Daddy made mistakes. But you'll always have me. And Evan? Yes, I said softly, taking the baby from my mother. And Evan. We're going to be okay. The truth tasted like victory, like justice, like peace. The adoption papers sat on my desk like a promise. Thomas Harrison had signed away his rights to Evan without hesitation, grateful for the evidence that had exposed Olivia's schemes. One signature from me would make it official, would make us a family in the eyes of the law. Though we'd been one in truth since that night on my doorstep. My pen hovered over the line. Still thinking about Michael? Nancy asked, watching me from the doorway. No. I signed my name with steady strokes. Thinking about karma. How sometimes what looks like revenge is really just the universe setting things right. Through the window, I could see Samantha in the garden, showing Evan a butterfly while David pushed them on the swing set. My daughter had grown older in these past weeks, but stronger too. Like me. The board reinstated you, Nancy said, setting down the morning paper. The headline read, Mitchell Enterprises CEO cleared of all charges. They didn't have a choice. The truth has a way of demanding attention. And Michael? Took a plea deal. Minimal jail time in exchange for testimony against Olivia's other victims. I closed the adoption file. He'll never work in journalism again. Does that feel like justice? I watched my children playing, thinking about revenge and redemption, about how thin the line between them really was. It feels like freedom. The doorbell rang. Lucas stood outside, holding a familiar box. Found these while cleaning out Michael's desk at the paper. Old photos spilled across my desk, wedding pictures, family vacations, moments that had seemed perfect until I learned to look closer. In each one, Michael's smile held a shadow I hadn't noticed before. You know what's strange? I gathered the photos, dropping them in the shredder one by one. I don't feel angry anymore. Just awake. Awake? Like I've been sleeping through my own life, seeing what I wanted to see. The last photo disappeared into the shredder. Not anymore. Samantha's laughter floated through the window, pure, unguarded joy. Evan's baby giggles joined in, a harmony I never knew I needed. The investigators found more of Olivia's victims, Lucas said quietly. They're building a class action suit. Want you to testify? No. I stood, straightening papers that didn't need straightening. I'm done looking backward. Mommy. Samantha burst in, holding Evan carefully like I'd taught her. Can we have ice cream for lunch? Uncle David said to ask you. I took Evan, breathing in his baby scent. He grabbed my necklace, not my wedding ring, which now lived in a safety deposit box as evidence, with perfect infant precision. Ice cream comes after real food, I said, but found myself smiling. Even when Uncle David suggests otherwise. Worth a try, David called from the hallway. My mother touched my arm. You did good, baby. Not just surviving, thriving. We all did. I looked around at my strange, beautiful, chosen family. At the life I'd rebuilt from the ashes of betrayal. Sometimes the happy ending isn't what you thought it would be. Sometimes it's better. The afternoon sun painted shadows across my desk, across the adoption papers that made official what my heart had known since that first night. Across the future stretching out before us, uncertain but ours. Come on, I said, shifting Evan to my hip. Let's go make lunch. Real food first, then ice cream. And stories? Samantha asked, taking my free hand. Yes. I squeezed her fingers gently. But maybe some new ones this time. We left the study together, leaving behind the shredded photos, the old memories, the ghosts of what might have been. Outside, the garden waited with its butterflies and possibilities. With its promises of growth after destruction, of beauty after pain. Sometimes revenge looks like justice. Sometimes justice looks like moving forward. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, they both look like love.